Hello and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. Huge Oculus updates, a new cheap and versatile glove for AR and VR purposes that allow you to control things in games without controllers, more AAA games coming to VR, that and so much more. But before that, a couple weeks ago I proved that an Oculus Quest 2 can survive a cycle in the dryer. But you want to know what else can survive a dryer cycle? This video's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. Put it in the dryer, throw it, run it over, doesn't matter. I've been using Ridge Wallet for months now and I love it. Full metal construction and comes with tons of colors that look really sleek. Holds a ton of cards and even has a money clip on the back. Ditch your old cow and upgrade to Ridge. Use my link in the pinned comment for 10% off and, of course, a lifetime warranty. But now, let's just get right into the news. Now, I have loved VR arcades for a long time now. Even though I have really good VR at home, if I wanted to show a large group of people just how cool VR is, VR arcades were just perfect for that. Generally not ridiculously expensive, and places like the Void offer experiences that you just can't have at home, especially when last year Disney themselves brought exclusives like Star Wars, Wreck-It Ralph, and Avengers content to the Void to only be played at these arcade locations. Problem is that the world took a turn for the worst, as we all know, with COVID rates still rising in the US. And that's the Void's primary country of operation. Going out of the house and putting VR equipment on your face with a group of people doesn't exactly sound like the smartest of things to do right now. The company seems to be in a bleak situation at the moment, as Disney has closed down its downtown Disney locations, revoked the Void's rights to use Disney intellectual property, and they have defaulted on a pretty large loan, and their assets are now being controlled by a company called VR Exit LLC. Yikes. VR arcades are having a tough time at the moment, as at-home VR is booming, and while that does suck, I understand given the current climate, and I do hope that these VR arcade companies can come out the other side to strive later. The Oculus Quest 2 has received a pretty huge update with version 23 last week. Now you are able to officially run the Quest 2 while using the link cable at 90 Hz, as well as change the render resolution. Of course, Oculus warns that increasing the render resolution too high can affect your game performance unless you have some pretty impressive PC hardware, as the Quest 2 does have a pretty high resolution. With this update, the Quest package competes stronger than ever with PC VR headsets that cost more than it. Normally, the Quest and Quest 2 run at 72 Hz, and personally, the difference between 72 and 90 is pretty darn noticeable, especially in high-action games and moments. And I think along with the resolution bump that you get with the Quest 2 and this upgrade, it's a pretty good sign that Facebook's standalone headset is looking to be a better PC VR headset than their previous PC VR headset, which is ironic. Now, VR gloves. I have been a strong believer in hand tracking, especially over the past year or so, using Valve's Knuckles and the finger tracking, and Facebook's hand tracking on the Quest and Quest 2. But right now it feels like we're in this middle stage where finger and hand tracking is a thing available to consumers, but it's either not usable enough to be applicable to large-scale games, or finger tracking is too limited to offer anything really exclusive to games, other than increase your immersion. And things like real VR gloves are just far too expensive at the moment to be available for mass consumers, often costing more than the headsets that most consumers use anyways. If gloves and hand tracking really are the future of VR, which I do think they have a strong place, they have to be cheap, easily accessible, widely supported, and easily manufactured. Now, I don't know about you, but while these gloves are really cool, I don't think having an air compressor in your VR setup just to throw some headpads in VR chat is really the move. Instead, an extremely cheap glove has been developed by Cornell researchers that utilize a stretchable skin and sensor set using fiber optics. The parts list is extremely short, which is one of the impressive parts here, containing Bluetooth, a lithium-ion battery, basic circuitry, and a few LEDs, and that's about it. How it works is equally simple. To quote Engadget, each finger has a stretchable light guide that combines one transparent polyurethane core as well as an LED-linked core loaded with absorbent dyes. When you deform the light guide through bending your fingers or encountering pressure, the dyes serve as spatial encoders that light up and register exactly what's happening and, more importantly, where. end quote. So basically, from a super simple list of parts that are cheap and easy to manufacture, accurate hand and finger tracking can be accomplished without the need for 70 or 80 capacitive sensors like in the Knuckles. Or you don't have to use the incredibly smart AI tracking algorithms like in the Quest hand tracking. Right now, Cornell researchers see two immediate uses for this type of glove for AR and VR. In terms of AR applications, the glove can be used as a true visual feedback for performing tasks. One example given is, quote, let's say you want to have an augmented reality simulation that teaches you how to fix your car or change a tire. If you had a glove or something that could measure pressure as well as motion, that augmented reality visualization could say turn, then stop, so you don't over-tighten your lug nuts. There's nothing out there that does that right now, and this is an avenue to do it, end quote. Virtual reality applications are even less limited, and with correct software implementation would allow users to be able to interact with VR with accurate finger and hand tracking that doesn't suffer from many of the issues that we have currently, like finger occlusion, or when one finger blocks the other's line of sight. I think one of the best implementations of something like this cheap to manufacture glove would be this in conjunction with something like Oculus hand tracking. It's the best of both worlds and offers a form of redundancy for more stable hand tracking. There are all sorts of other uses for this as well, like giving cheap but reliable force and grip sensors to robotics. All in all, it's really cool stuff, and it's exciting to see pretty old technology being applied in new and interesting ways to make new technology better. I can't wait for something like VR gloves to make a big splash in the market, and this is just one step closer to making that happen. But now it's time for a meme break! You know, one struggle of being in VR is that it's kind of hard to see R. I mean, yeah, we have pass-through and cameras, and you could always just take the headset off, but I think that one struggle VR owners will always have is doing that little dance to look in between the 3 millimeters of space between your headset and your nose. And you all know that we all be looking like this while grabbing that next cola. But now, back to the news. Recently, Capcom has been hacked by a group called Ragnar Locker in an effort to extort money from the company. A bunch of customer data, sales reports, and other documents have been leaked, and all of this has been mostly confirmed by Capcom in a recent press release. Well, among those leaked documents are plans for a VR version of Resident Evil 4 to be released by April 2021 for Oculus. We don't know how super valid this leak is or what headset the leak is referring to, as it's only listed as Oculus within the documents, but I think Resident Evil 4, while definitely not being the first game I think of when I imagine a flat screen game that would be better in VR, would probably be a great fit for VR, and maybe I'll actually finish the game for the first time if we get a VR release. This does line up with a slew of new Resident Evil content coming around the same time, including a new game and a Netflix series, so a VR port of a 15-year-old classic isn't out of the realm of possibility. And if there would be a good time to release it, that would likely be the best. This past week, the VR Awards took place by AIXR. It's sort of like a Grammys of VR. Awards like VR Hardware of the Year, Game of the Year, and Marketing of the Year were given out. And I think it's no surprise that Valve won 2 awards, both VR Game of the Year, that being Half-Life Alyx, and VR Hardware of the Year, that being the Valve Index. While I was personally rooting for Boneworks, it's almost impossible to measure the impact that Half-Life Alyx has had on the VR industry since its launch. Other noteworthy awards given were Innovative VR Company of the Year, which was given to Qualcomm, likely due to the impressive XR2 chip, and VR Marketing of the Year, which was given to Virtual Market. In case you have no idea what Virtual Market is, it's a giant market set up within VRChat that brings together some of the coolest worlds and best avatar asset creators in one place. This year's Virtual Market 4 was incredible, and the 5th market is going to be taking place in about a month within VRChat, and I'll definitely be covering it more once it comes closer. So one thing I love about the Valve Index, and now the HP Reverb G2 I guess, is the off-ear audio that makes hearing things with those headsets just an absolute pleasure. If you want that same experience on other headsets, particularly Oculus headsets, you're just kind of out of luck. Except if you buy Rebuff Reality's VR ears. They're essentially clip-on off-ear headphones that claim to offer a similar experience as something like the Valve Index speakers, and can be used on a variety of headsets. This year there was a pretty successful Kickstarter campaign, and they were supposed to ship by the end of 2020. There's one problem though. The VR ears have been delayed, and this delay is not a short one. The VR ears are not expected to ship until July of 2021, which if you originally backed the Kickstarter, it's almost a year after backing the project. Now, I have generally liked Rebuff Reality's products. I mean, I use TrackStrap Pluses for my Vive trackers daily, and perhaps this is a bit of fallout given the current world climate, but not gonna lie, that kind of delay is a big hit to backers that expect the product to come, 7 months earlier. But now it's time for question of the week. From Phoenix Chase, how do I get my dog to stop bothering me while in VR? Well, I got 3 easy options for you. One is to just block your dog from getting in your play space, but in my opinion, this is the worst out of the 3 options. Your pupper just wants to have fun with you, which is why you could get a Vive tracker and put it on your dog. And now you can always see them and avoid them when you have the headset on, or even give them pets. But an even better option is to get your dog actually in VR with you. May I introduce you to the Oculus Quest, made specifically with doggos in mind. The top-selling game from publisher Whiskerbook, Paw Saber even has cross-play compatibility with PC VR and standalone Beat Saber players. Now, your doggo will never have another sad, lonely day watching their best friend get lost in virtual reality, because now they can get lost in it with you. Now, that was question of the week. Make sure to leave your own below in the comment section. Also, I will be streaming after this video on Twitch, so stop on by and say what's up. I'd love to meet you. Join up in my Discord server for one of the best VR communities on the planet, and I just want to say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas like Benji, Biz, CPCJ79, Dented Melon, Elijah, Fusion Oak, HCG Randon, KR, Chaotic, Ronzarelli, That Brock Guy, True Killa, Very Evil Shadow, Suicide, and XD Cloud. I couldn't do any of this without you. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.